Welcome. You're listening to Parts and Charts, the IFS and Astrology Podcast. I'm Chelsea Owens, an artist and licensed marriage and family therapist specializing in internal family systems, and one of my spiritual gifts is the ability to balance depth and fun.
And I'm KP Kaszabowski, a poet, filmmaker, and astrologer who seeks pathways to fully loving myself and others, and the language for what is happening underneath the surface.
Together, we explore how inner parts and planetary archetypes speak to one another. Whether you're new to IFS or astrology or deep in your own integration practice, we're glad you're here.
Hi.
I just returned from Hawaii and I feel sun-kissed and refreshed with life. So
Love
here
it. You look like it.
Thank you. Feel fresh. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. How are you?
I feel good. It's like a really gloomy week, but the gloomy weeks are when I like get in bed and I read, and so I make it with weather here, you make it the vibe. You lean in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seasons, baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So today we both pulled King of Pentacles.
I
So
put mine away.
I'm just noting that that's our anchor for the episode. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Yeah. As we talk about dating. Everyone's favorite topic.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Or least favorite. Whoever, I mean, it's a tough topic that can
It
be
is.
fun. What am I saying? It's a fun topic.
We're gonna make it fun.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, what parts of you showed up in preparing for this episode on dating?
Yeah. Um, the more I get to know my parts, the more I'm seeing them.
Yeah.
So I felt a lot of inferiority or like compensation kind of energy, like, oh, well, if we talk about this, then I have to like bring a bunch of research and quote Rhetorius, like the ancient writer astrologer, to back up anything I'm saying. I need to talk about this placement and this placement in order for it to be valuable enough. So there was a lot of like maybe there's a word you can help me find, but a lot of like, am is what I'm going to be saying worth listening to when it
Mm,
comes to dating? Something I haven't done in a long time, let's be real. Even though I talk to clients a lot about their dating like practices and how to approach it and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's what came up for me when I
mhm.
was preparing. And then I did not over prepare and I did not find the quote from Rhetorius.
Yeah. Beautiful. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of folks who want to hear that.
Someday.
And I mean, I do. Um, Separate episodes, perhaps. And I also, yeah, you've been in a long-term relationship, marriage for a while, and also we were joking that you don't have dating parts, but you do, and because you're still
Yeah.
dating your husband, you're
Mhm.
still, perhaps going on dates. So there are dating parts, probably, um,
Yeah.
still around. And and I'm also hearing you're holding this, um, maybe spiritually lighter. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Chelsea and I off cam, we're talking about what this podcast's function in our spiritual life would be. And I'm a big believer in like everything you do in this lifetime is a spiritual task, whether you're aware of it or not. Like going on a run is a spiritual task as well. So to put like my whole self behind the podcast, I want to have that kind of like mantra or mission statement. And I was telling Chelsea that I want this podcast to be what helps me lighten up. Like I want to show my goofier parts, my happier parts, my jazzier parts. I want to not have such a solemn tone when I'm talking about things that I hold really seriously. And I think Chelsea also agrees with me is that like we can have this solemnity, this sacred kind of approach to our practices, but there's that like at the top of the hill or right over the top of the hill, like the wise guru is the one who acts childlike, is the one who's laughing. Like when I saw the Dalai Lama talk when I was younger, I didn't understand his language at all, obviously. And there was a translator, but most of the time he was just giggling. Like thousands of people in this big stadium, and he's just like giggling on stage. And it was just so like heartwarming and fun to watch, and also made his messages feel more in the body and more about like relationships. So the spiritual function is like lighten up, have fun.
Mhm.
You don't have to present as this like I kind of said with the parts that came up, like I don't have to present as this like person in the stacks with like a candle and a notebook taking notes for hours, right? I think those days can be passed or take a back seat for the moment. So that's where I'm sitting. So I'm wondering what your spiritual function or desire for this podcast is.
I'm right there with you. Yes to everything you said. And yeah, I think I resonate with having a part or parts that also would be with you in the stacks. Um, Research heavy. I have my history, political science background. That life happened before I became a therapist, so I definitely love that kind of rigor. And um, yeah, I really resonate with that. And as you and a lot of people who know me know, I am a pretty big goofball. So
Yes.
I love infusing lightness and sun and sun and fun into like some deeper topics. And I think therapists have to. Like, we're dealing with so much heavy
Yeah,
stuff and we love it. We love going down to the depths. But it's hard to stay there all day, every day.
right.
So we have to laugh every once in a while. So
Yeah.
I love holding both of those things. Yeah. And how that I guess pertains not only to the pod but to dating, um, all the same. Like holding depth and fun as well. Um,
Yeah, right.
yeah. Yeah.
Love that. So we're talking about dating. And we've planned for this podcast for me to have Chelsea's chart up, someone who is open to a relationship and not currently in one. So someone who is dating, right? Is that how you would phrase it?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Open to it. We'll say that. Yeah,
Yeah.
open to it. Seeking with the intention of seeking. I don't know how much action I'm really putting into that right now, but I lend myself my chart, whatever, I have to say about my parts, to the this conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll benefit someone to hear more about these two methodologies coming together and yeah.
So I have Chelsea's chart up. Um, in a regular session with someone, it wouldn't be so contrived, but usually the conversation would begin with a question or like an experience, and then I would be doing my like little brain thing, like, oh, what if it's this, and asking questions.
Mm.
But because it's less natural, I thought I would just start talking about your ascendant.
Mm.
And I was thinking about how the ascendant is so the ascendant is where the eastern horizon was the moment you were born. And that's what puts in place the rest of your chart. So the ascendant is always in the first house. If we're doing the Hellenistic ancient astrology method with the whole sign houses, which I do. Um, it's always in the first house. The first house is often considered by modern astrologers, like more popular astrologers, to be what your first impression is, or how people like sense you right away. And like that is most likely true. Astrology is developing all the time. Um, but the ancient way of speaking about the first house is as if it's the helm or the driver of your life experience. So that first house gives us a lot of information on like the rhythms or the motivations or the desire of the native who owns this chart. So your helm is Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So right away we get like I was thinking about how does this relate to dating? Like this looks like someone on a dating app who is like very sunny, very bright, very warm right away. Um, you know nothing else about this person other than their ascendant energy. It's usually going to show up by their like profile photo and maybe the first couple things they write. It's not an exact science, of course, because people who have done more introspective work can pull out more parts of themselves to be more visible and present. So maybe someone has done a lot of Venus work, whatever that may look like, and then their Venus is showing first, that kind of thing. But that's what I was thinking about first, is like you go on a first date with someone, you don't know anything about them, but you know what they look like and how they walk and like how like what they approach their life like right away. So that's usually the ascendant. And I don't know if that's where we want to start because you're not dating yourself. Maybe you are.
Oh, I have.
um, yeah. But then I was thinking it's the Venus energy and the Mars energy like further into the first date that you start to feel about someone. Um, so I
Yeah.
kind of
I,
yeah, go ahead.
it, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like the rising energy is like what's either attracting people to you, like what's magnetizing people to you, or what you're, yeah, what you're drawn to. It's that first hit, it's that first thing that people notice, right? And that feels
Yeah.
important for the attraction energy, or do you feel like there's other placements that
Yeah.
would I don't know, show more about the attraction piece?
Yeah, so the typically it's the Venus energy that is what's attracting or attractive.
Oh,
But so I don't know who wrote this. I feel like I read it on a Tumblr many years ago, and I really want to find out who wrote this because I think it's a really good way to describe the difference between the rising sign or the ascendant. Those are interchangeable, the
yeah.
sun sign and the moon sign. And the metaphor was you walk by a house, and the rising sign is like the exterior of the house and like the vibe that gives off before you even go into the house. The
Mm,
sun sign is when you're in the house and how it's decorated and like the kind of people who are there and what is on display. And it's the moon sign that is the mood of the house. It is not necessarily visual, but you can feel it. Like you can feel when it's a really cold house, right? Or you can feel when it's a really lively and loving house. That's the moon sign. So I think that's just such a good metaphor, especially when you're thinking about dating. Like, how when you finally get to the mood of someone, you're like feeling their moon sign. And the moon sign is like their emotional capacity, their emotional expression, how they feel safe, how their body feels safe, how they move and change throughout their life, in their month, in their week. So it's like you're really getting to know someone, but you don't really get to feel the moon sign until like maybe date two or three or four.
mm,
The sun sign is after the rising sign. So maybe the first date is like you're just getting the rising. I mean, I believe on my first dates with people, my Libra sun came out pretty quickly, but that could be one way to think about it. But then thinking about Venus, the Venus sign as how the person attracts someone or their values. And if we're conflating attraction and value system, I think that's a really interesting conversation.
mhm,
And I don't necessarily know that we can conflate them. But if we're going down that path, because Venus rules our values as well as our attraction, if we're going down that path, like, yeah, maybe because I value reading a lot or I value language more than other people possibly. That is part of what attracts people to me is because they can sense my attention and focus on what I value. Um, okay, so that's maybe a question is like, has that shown up in your life? On what do you think is your attraction energy and does that relate to what you value in this world?
yes, my Venus is in Gemini,
Hmm.
and maybe you can speak a little bit more about what that archetype is. I know that from, just my own exploration with you, that shows up as like a lot of communication, a lot of mental stimulation that I value and that I value in other people. Like I've had so many crushes just from like having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And so for sure, I think that that tracks for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can talk about Venus and Gemini a lot. So yeah, what would you describe the Venus in the zodiac sign of Gemini feeling like?
Mm. It feels like I want to know every detail of somebody's life. Um, I want to, yeah, knowing more information, finding conversations interesting just feels delicious to me.
Yeah.
And and especially when I was maybe younger, maybe not so much now, I would get really bored on dates if I was carrying the conversation or if someone wasn't speaking that much. Um, I would, yeah, I would not be able to continue.
That makes sense as Gemini um enjoys listening as much as speaking. Like Gemini energy is like I love input. I
Yeah.
also love output. Geminis are known for being chatty, but like if I'm just like the sender, it's not interesting because I'm not getting anything out of this.
Mhm.
It's not
Mhm.
a selfish thing. It's just the information highway is two ways or many ways. That's Gemini energy. Highway energy is pretty Gemini.
Yeah. 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 It's that I don't want to just perform and just be the
Yeah.
speak storyteller all the time. It's that I also want it to be a back and forth. I want it to be
Yeah.
fun banter. And um yeah, just want to share interesting thoughts. Like, yeah, so many times I've like whenever I have a new crush, I'll like send poems right away. Or if he sends me a poem, I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm done." Or like a reading list, you know?
Mhm.
There's definitely like that aspect of the flirtation process for me where I'm just like wanting to engage with these kind of high level ideas and
Yeah.
concepts and information or just like fun. It doesn't even have to be like high level. It can be like lowbrow too. It doesn't really matter. As long as it's like interesting, it's keeping me
Yeah.
engaged. It feels like such a love language to have somebody send me something that they find interesting,
Yeah.
an idea or a thought or a poem or reading an article, like something that they find really interesting and they take the time to send it to me because they think I might like it. Like
Yeah.
feels so nice.
Yeah, it's like marketplace of ideas is Venus and Gemini. Like, please let me be in the middle of 100 people sharing what they care about verbally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Has anyone like on a date after a date sent you a reading list?
Mm, maybe not a reading list, a
I was
syllabus.
gonna say that's a little intense.
No, mostly just like, yeah, poems or maybe a book recommendation or a podcast or an
Okay,
article. Yeah, yeah. And
that's
I've
fine.
I've definitely given men books. Like I used to give out All About Love by Bell Hooks. Like that would
Oh
be like
yeah.
a few dates in that, yeah, I'd be like, you have to read this.
I love that book.
Haven't done that for a while,
It's
but I
right
have
next to
extra
me.
copies for that reason.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how do you think that relates to your like how you are attractive or how you attract other people? Thinking about
Hmm.
maybe like the pre-first date moment.
Mm, that's a good question. I'm not sure if I can answer. It's hard to answer like because I'm not I I don't know what how I'm being perceived, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or what people are actually thinking about me or mostly with dating apps, right? Because you're just seeing a photo and a bio and I don't know, it's really basic.
Yeah.
But I guess with people in person, I'm not really sure. There's a part of me that's coming up right now, and it's like I'm intimidating. That's what it's saying. It's like
Mm.
it can seem intimidating when I'm, I don't know, sharing ideas or the parts of me show up that are like all about, I don't know, reading or language or the Gemini stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that I'm just noticing that.
Is there something else there?
I'm not sure. Maybe. Um, Not that I'm noticing right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think then what is coming up for me is it is hard to know what is attractive about oneself. But what has helped me think about that from the astrology's perspective is Venus is also what tells us how we signal who is like us.
Mm.
So your Venus in Gemini, let's give another example of like Venus in Aries.
Mm-hmm.
Venus in Aries would more likely identify with energy or people that are like lively or athletic or the Aries energy.
Oh,
Um, yeah, burst of energy, individualistic, likes to record information and be like the hero or like the first person there at the scene of a crime. I don't know why I'm going to crime, but like that's the Aries energy. So if someone has Venus in Aries, but like that's their only Aries placement, it can be really difficult to know that in some way you're signaling that your in group or the group that you identify with or you consider like you is Aries energy. So
oh.
that could be one way, like if you are maybe being more like forthright with your value systems, like I have a Venus in Scorpio, my in group Scorpio energy would be like occultists or like deeply feeling shadow workers. Like it's the or what is it called when you're finding out why someone died? Forensic scientists. Scorpio energy has a lot to do with like figuring out what actually happened because I think something's fishy, like that kind of energy. So then if I was trying to attract people who are like me, I would lean into that Scorpio energy, whether I am a forensic scientist or not. Those are the type of people that I may more likely attract, if that makes sense.
And
But
Marty is
Marty,
happens to be forensic.
he has zero Scorpio energy
Okay.
in his chart. Um, yeah, we're very different people, but he has a gut sense that is like unmatched. He can tell if someone's lying like 10 feet away. 10
Mm.
feet? 100 feet away? I don't know. What's the good amount of feet? Um, Yeah, and I actually that's one of the things about him I really appreciate, and maybe that's my value system is that he can tell when someone's lying, and then he is very upfront with like when he's not interested in sharing all of the details and that kind of thing. Like
Oh, yeah.
I can just trust that what he's saying is actually what is happening underneath the surface. That's really important, Venus and Scorpio.
Well,
Um,
that's also,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and like all of my friends are like that, I would say. Like they're if they're not like honest to a fault, they're close.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That feels so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Any emotionally intelligent, like that seems like a really important thing for me to be able to connect with someone is that they need to know what they're feeling. They don't necessarily need to know why, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I feel like that's so important for me as well. I was
Yeah.
reflecting on that last week with the group that I was with and how important, communication is to me. And I mean, which seems obvious, like everyone loves communication in a relationship. And I also I value so much when people are um, so direct and honest. So
Yeah.
my parts don't have to guess how someone's feeling
Yes.
and like shift to try to, either I'm assuming how they're feeling or I'm assuming that they're not telling me something. So I
Yeah.
need to shift myself or my own behavior.
Yeah.
Um, like that just does not feel great. And
Yeah.
I'd rather someone just be direct, even if it doesn't always, if it's not something I want to hear or whatever, it feels so much safer to me to know that there's nothing being hidden
Yeah.
and they're not trying to just placate my feelings by not telling me the whole truth.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That's real. I mean, that feels like maybe we should do an episode on that. I
yeah.
don't know what words we choose for that because I'm like, oh, there's a lot I could say about that. Like,
Mm.
I am very good with like knowing that people have to have their private emotions, even if they are about me. But
Mhm.
there's a moment when it crosses that threshold of like affecting our relationship. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
interesting to me. Like,
Yeah. And I don't think that people need to tell each other everything.
right,
And that there's a discernment that happens with your self energy of like what people need to hear, what they don't need to hear. Like, yeah, you don't have to say every single thing in the dating process or while you're with somebody in a
right.
relationship. Like, you don't have to say every single thought, right? But there's a discernment that can happen of like, do I need to say this? Like, is this kind? Is this going to be helpful? Is this going to move us
Yeah,
forward?
yeah,
Uh, it doesn't have to be unkind, right? So yeah, I think that's
yeah,
a really important process for people to just know like how much to say, what not to say, and
yeah. What is going to matter in 5 years?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, so
But back to
then
my
let's talk
chart.
about yeah, back to the chart.
Let's talk about me again.
Very excited. Um, but it's the Mars energy that you may have more understanding of because Mars is the energy that like propels us toward what we want or what we're attracted to.
Okay.
And he may not show us what we're attracted to, but he will give us information on how we pursue what we're attracted to. The
Hmm.
Mars energy, conversely to Venus, is like the in group or what we think, what we believe is like us or what type of values we want our people to have. Mars is the energy that tells us what values we don't necessarily want in our group. Which like sounds a little strange when we're talking about dating, but it's like, mm, let's talk about yours. So you
Yeah.
have Mars in Cancer, and
Yeah. Right.
it's Mars is exactly conjunct um by a few minutes your sun in the 12th house in Cancer. So what that says to me is that the way that you go about getting what you want or getting what you want is like the most inelegant way to say like dating someone that you like.
Yeah.
Um Mars in Cancer is not necessarily the most comfortable in that energy because Mars likes to be like forthright or like just do it. Cancer energy is a little bit more like I'm going to see if it's cool enough or safe enough. There's usually like a pretty thick wall, protection. So it's like, yeah, you know what you want to pursue and you may move toward that like that object, that person, that being. But there's the hesitancy of that person then responding. Your shell may be like the Cancer shell, the crab's shell, may be preventing instant access. So I wonder if that is
Mm.
like that shows up for you in dating. Like, yeah, you're here, but they need to warm up, like warm you up.
Yeah. I definitely think that's true. Yeah. It's interesting that thinking about, yeah, how we pursue because I feel okay, the parts of me that I'm noticing right now in pursuit of, someone or dating, I feel actually quite polarized. I feel some parts that are super confident and really like maybe even a little bit more masculine. Like they'll definitely, talk to anybody. They'll go up to anybody, kind of
Yeah,
take charge and um yeah, they'll ask somebody out. Like it feels like whatever, I don't care what happens, like I'm down to just try. Um and then there's also parts that feel a little bit shy and guarded and yeah, it does take a little bit of time to warm up, especially if the other person's coming in with like assertive energy
yeah,
or like even dominance
yeah,
or any kind of force like and maybe that sounds obvious like no one really wants that but
yeah,
even if it's like quite subtle like even if it's just like I guess my parts perceive even like a little bit of assertion on
yeah,
the other person to be like whoa because we're just not used to that as much where maybe in the culture or where I live um I've become a lot more used to like having to take the lead or take the
yeah.
initiative. Um, but then maybe once I get my foot in the door, like it's maybe like a first date, I, yeah, there's a little bit of, maybe I notice a little bit more crab shell. Like we have to have a full conversation first before
Yeah.
anything happens, right? Or I have to get to know you, even maybe experience some emotions or experience some of your emotions, or
Yeah.
even find out if I like you enough to even move forward or feel intimacy
Right.
um, before, yeah, before anything would happen. So,
Wow. Yeah. The comment about maybe that's obvious when like someone is really assertive or like dominant right at first. Like some people actually do enjoy that and some people
yeah.
soften if they can trust that person. But I it makes sense to me with the Cancer Mars and it being in the sorry, he being in this I'm trying to be animist by about the planets by the way. Um, Mars being in your 12th house also is like it's a gentler space and there's a little more difficulty with boundaries. So
Oh,
then maybe there's a little bit of compensation of like, okay, if I can't really sense exactly what's happening with this, then I need more protections and that's like a double down of that energy.
mhm.
Um,
And let
yeah,
me also just
yeah,
say that what I'm noticing too is like, is the desire for uh, assertiveness
yeah,
from another person like yes, I have parts that are like what, like I have a reaction to it, but that doesn't mean like I don't enjoy that or want that in so many
yeah,
aspects, right? Like that kind of, I don't know, like maybe it's yin and yang energy. I'm not really sure, but there is a desire for like the take chargeness or
yeah,
um just, feeling like someone's interested and like making that known, right? So
yeah,
there's no guessing. And I feel like a lot of us, myself included, are in that guessing space in the dating process, the gray area where you're not quite putting your own feelings forward for various reasons, and the other person's not quite putting their feelings forward in a direct way. We're
yeah,
still feeling it out, but even that can last probably longer than it needs to in that gray space of just wondering, like, does this person even like me? Are they interested in me?
yeah,
So I feel like I've spent a lot of time in that space, kind of guessing what the other person's feeling, or because they're not saying it and I'm not saying it, and
yeah.
on go, and you never really get any answers.
Can I reflect something back to you?
You may,
Because I really do believe that language is our body speaking, whether we're aware of it or not. You use the word feeling a lot,
yeah.
almost exclusively, other than what the person's actually saying, which I think, didn't mean to point, but I think is related to the Gemini Venus, the thinking Venus, right? Or the speaking Venus. And then your Mars is in a feeling sign, the water sign of Cancer. So it's like, Mars will not let you fully understand or like fully in. Even though Mars is technically the pursuer, Mars won't let the pursuit or the chase or whatever fully complete or happen if the feelings aren't resonating together. Like if there's like a dissonance, I guess, in feelings and speaking. And the Venus is like, I am here to make sure this person is speaking their value system clearly. It was just something else you said a few minutes ago of like, like saying what they believe and that kind of thing. Which is interesting because if you had fire signs between these two
Mhm.
planets, Venus and Mars, I wonder what the difference would be.
Mm, that's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like some of my fire shows up in dating too. Like I definitely have a performer part.
Oh
Like
yeah.
like that's gotten so good at going on dates at this point and can speak about myself, and I show up really confident, like I've got this. I don't feel nervous.
Yeah.
And it does little performance. Like I know when it's there, it tells jokes, it knows how to be really charming.
Yeah.
So
That
that
makes
definitely
sense.
shows up.
That makes a lot of sense because your Mercury in Leo is right on your ascendant. It's a couple degrees away, but it's making the influence. Yeah, Mercury on the ascendant, no matter the sign, is like so agile, so yeah, like is confident, strong. Whether their Mercury skills are like lacking or not, there's still this like air of like, oh, they're just a really consummate, expressive person. I'm married to one who has a Mercury on his ascendant as well. Um,
Mm.
anyway, yeah, and then the Mercury being in Leo as well, the sign of warmth, generous spirit, performance, play, makes a lot of sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think Mercury is also one of the planets that would show up on the first date.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's maybe like the Venus you don't necessarily feel right away. I don't know. It depends on the person. But like on a first date, hopefully someone's talking. And then that's when it would show up. Like,
Hey, you'd be surprised sometimes.
yeah, I know. I've been in a couple. Yeah.
So, I'm also noticing, just reflecting on the parts of me that show up on dates or have shown up on dates in the past. I definitely have a caretaking part
Oh
that
yeah.
shows up. Oh yeah. Uh, that um it's not quite my therapist parts, but similar has some similar like behaviors
Yeah.
and empathy, of course. Um, Especially on dates when I notice like the other person seems really, really nervous.
Hmm.
Either that or they're a little bit more quiet or introverted. Um, and I can tell that they're just, yeah, maybe not speaking because they're nervous or for whatever reason. And my caretaking part just swoops right in and really tries to make them comfortable. Maybe we'll ask more questions than usual, or does all the things that I know how to do in order to make
Yeah.
someone comfortable. It's like really, really nice. But then it also just like it doesn't necessarily come off romantic either. Like it feels like a very friendly vibe. Um,
Yeah.
like the receiving person is like, oh, you're so nice, or you're so caring. But like, yeah, there's no spark here. And like I'm not necessarily feeling a spark either. Um, but that's just happened a lot, it
Yeah.
seems. Caretaking parts come in and really try to make the other person feel safe or feel okay.
I have a theory about you
Yes, tell me.
with this caretaking part, but I think it's better if I ask questions and not presenting a theory.
I don't know. I my parts want to hear a theory.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, so you are very aware of your chart at this point. I know.
Yeah.
Jupiter is in your seventh house. The seventh house is the other or the bonded relationships or client work if it's like one-on-one private kind of conversations. Um, yeah, you have one planet in that house. It's the house of Aquarius. So you said like it comes off kind of friendly. My theory. I want to ask the questions because I don't like to present theories, but I'm gonna do it.
You can do
My,
both. Whatever you want to do. You can do both.
okay. My theory is that this Jupiter, this great, expansive, like generous kind of energy in this house of partners and clients, looks and acts like a caretaker part. That makes a lot of sense. But if you have many caretaker parts, which maybe you do, this caretaker is more verbal or more like theorizing, the Aquarius energy, or more supportive of like humanity, more idealized, maybe has a harder time connecting with the body and like felt sense with another person. That's not to say that this part can't do that, but it's more interested in the verbal or the intellectual or mindful exchange when it comes to dates. This would look very different with clients and very different with marriages.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
but yeah, that's my theory.
Hmm.
Does that feel
Yeah.
connected?
Yeah, I think so. Hmm.
Okay. There's another thing happening. There's two things happening. Your Jupiter is making a very positive connection to Venus. So your attraction, your attractiveness, your values. So then it would make a lot of sense that on dates in relationships, this Jupiter in Aquarius would be in a pretty consistent conversation with your value systems, both in air signs, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
What does that make you think about?
All the people that I've gone on dates with. and their airy qualities, or
Yeah.
like the what looks like on paper, mostly speaking about dating apps, the the qualities that look good on paper to me, right? Like, oh, this person looks really smart, or
Yeah.
they look really interesting. They look like a good banter partner. Yeah, I feel like I've sought out a lot of guys like that.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, actually, in person, it doesn't feel the way that I imagined it would feel for whatever reason. Don't really know what's going on with the other person. But it just kind of like falls flat, and like, or we do have a good conversation, but it doesn't feel um like it could head in the romantic direction.
Yeah. So then I'm thinking about this Mars again in Cancer, like right on top of your sun. Um, It's like your values and the way that you connect with people in a really deeply bonded way is mental, verbal. Um, there's a our air signs have a lot to do with ideal situations or consideration, which doesn't necessarily stay in the present moment or in the body. Not necessarily. Sometimes consideration is very bodily, very presence based. So that's not excluding air sign energy from the body, but your Cancer energy, like two really important planets in your chart, two really important parts, I guess, of your life, is like so reliant on sensing the body,
Mhm.
emotions as messengers, that kind of thing. So it's like your value system wants to be in this place of conversation, but until it's with someone who is feeling that conversation in their own body, it's not necessarily going to connect to your sun, your life force,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to, well, I'm curious if you'd be interested in this. I feel interested in it, but and maybe some people would be interested in this. Like what to look for. Like if we're just looking at my chart,
Yeah.
what to look for, what I should be looking for. Um, I don't know, either in who would be a good match. I know that's always what people want to know. And
Yeah.
if that's possible to, yeah, kind of parse out by looking at the chart. And now that we know a little bit about my parts, my placements,
Yeah.
what, who I've gone on dates with, and some of that energy, like what, yeah, I guess what should I be looking for?
I mean, that's the question.
I know.
And like, I think you know this very well as like an IFS specialized therapist as well. It's like everyone has the most unique experience, but the more that they get to know their parts and how they're interacting together and how they're reacting to the environment around, like that kind of thing, all of those bits of information that you have the patience enough to experience and glean and that kind of thing, will help you see more clearly the type of person that is a good match. So I have to say this up front because the more you do that self-examination work, the better it is. So I can't be like, look for your Venus sign, and then on the 12th day of the 8th month, right? Like it doesn't work like that. And that's not how any relationship works in this world.
Yeah.
But I would say if the more you get to know your own chart and your placements, you're seeing like what we kind of just talked about, like there's this like emphasis on the air signs when it comes to relationships in your life, but your vitality is in this like very emotional, feelings-based, body-based place, the Cancer sign. Um, that to me says you can get like experimental or maybe a little literal with this and be like, you want someone who's chatty or who's well read, maybe, but maybe their profession is manual labor. Maybe their profession uses the body in some way, and that's how you'll know because they committed to an occupation. Like it sounds maybe a little face value possibly, but thinking about someone who's committing to an occupation, they have done a lot of time or they've committed a lot of their own energy and time to making that decision. And if they're a massage therapist or a doctor, like even like a physician, they probably are someone who's really connected to their body.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the first date, they're also chatty. Okay, maybe this is someone that can get past that like little bit of shell that the Cancer energy has, because you can trust that they can live in the feelings or kinesthetic realm. So for someone else who's listening who's not particularly Chelsea Owens, maybe you're seeing like a great emphasis on fire energy in your relationship parts of your chart. And that could look like so many things. It could be like your Venus and your Sun, or your seventh house is in a fire sign. Maybe you do want someone who's really enthusiastic, really creative, really loud. Like you want a loud, big, booming voice. You want a jokester. That's like fire energy. But there's something else in your chart that may be like earth. Like really, you need someone who's like, yeah, they can joke around, they can like make everyone in the room laugh. But at the end of the day, I need them to do exactly what they said they're going to do, because that's earth energy, is like trust, stability, steadiness, like routine. And I'm saying all these words that sound maybe possibly like on the negative spectrum, but when it comes to earth energy, there's a beauty to understanding that you can trust wherever you put your right foot, you won't fall through the earth. And if you have that much, I'm talking about earth energy, but if you have so much earth energy and fire energy together, it can look contradictory. And that's kind of like the exciting part of dating, is like you're also getting to know yourself more. The more you are meeting people who are vibing with you slightly or a lot and that kind of thing. Which the last thing I kind of want to talk about in that part is the seventh house is the house of the partner, the business partner, the marriage, the best friend, the really important bonded relationships in your life. But it's also the house that you get to see yourself outside of yourself in. So when we are in conversation, this is like a full philosophical belief that I think is so true, relationally, is that when you're in a conversation with someone that you can trust will like end, like take you to the end of the conversation, you are getting to know yourself almost as much or more than the person who's speaking back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, as humans, we have a harder time seeing ourselves clearly unless we're in conversation with someone else or something else or some ocean else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think about with dating, is like dating is, yeah, you're finding if someone's a match for you, but you're also finding if you're a match for them, or
Mm-hmm.
like you're a match for yourself when you're around them.
Mm-hmm. A mirror.
Yeah, a mirror. Like it's the house of the mirror is the seventh house.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Thank you for all of that. Yeah, I really love what you said about, well, just giving like the specifics of, yeah, what to look for and how, I think out in maybe social media or just anywhere online, where you get kind of really basic astrology info, or even like memes that are supposed to be funny, right?
Yeah.
The really basic stuff about mostly sun sign, right? And what to look for. It's always like, oh, Scorpio and Pisces are a good match for Cancer, and it's so kind of one note.
Yeah.
Um, and astrology, just like parts and planets, they're all so complex. Like it's so much more than just the thing you're showing up with. It's so much more than just sun sign. So of course, there's so much more to who you're going to attract, who you're actually going to be in relationship with
Yeah.
and flourish in relationship with. And there's so many different parts and planets at play, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to all of these things fitting together. Um, so yeah, so thank you for kind of breaking that down and just reflecting how complex it is.
Yeah, and like I didn't talk about the typical techniques like the ruler of the seventh house, like
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
those techniques are helpful, I guess, but in the end, it really is like being willing to talk with a person who's being willing to talk with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And show parts of themselves, and then you showing parts of yourselves and seeing what happens. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a cosmic, not so scientific science.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should end it here. And then maybe we can expand on parts of relationships in a different episode.
Yeah.
Um,
Is there
yeah.
anything else you want to say about, and just for people out there who are kind of looking at their own charts or know a little bit about their own charts in terms of what to look for, just kind of wrapping up the summary of like, look at this, look at that, and to get more information about, I don't know,
Yeah.
the dating process and maybe, and then reflecting on what kinds of parts may be in those placements for them, the parts of them that show up on a first date or to the dating app or to the dating process in even the selection, right? Parts that are selecting somebody to go on a date with, like, and kind of who they're selecting and why, and what, yeah, what planets could be there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, but I think one thing to focus on contemplating for yourself is your Venus sign. Your Venus sign is who, what, where, and how you value. And it'll give you a lot of information of the type of person that you do want to be with more than an hour. Um, and then are there any other planets talking with Venus? And that in the technical language for that is aspecting or using or having an aspect between the planets, and that can give you information on how they're talking to each other. So like maybe there's um a tense line between Venus and another planet, and that can give you some details on like, okay, maybe this type of dynamic is interesting to me, or it brings up something in me that is not necessarily comfortable. And is it the kind of comfortable that makes me grow, or is it kind of uncomfortable that I'm not willing to experience in this lifetime? And it's all about contemplation, but I would look at the seventh house as well, for the type of bonded relationship that you're interested in this lifetime. Are there planets there? What planet rules this house can also give you information. And the seventh house is right across from your ascendant. So if you're a Capricorn rising, your seventh house would be Cancer. If you're an Aries rising, your seventh house would be Libra. So yeah. I think
Beautiful.
that's like pretty generic, but those are good
Some
starting points. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Cool.
Cool.
Thank you so much. This has been so helpful. Thank you.
It's been fun. Do you think we had enough fun or spiritual desire for this podcast?
I think so.
Okay, next episode will be about stand-up comedy.
Ooh! Can't wait.
Thank you for joining us for Parts and Charts, the IFS and Astrology Podcast. If something sparked insight or resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you.
No, really, we're here to make friends. Reach out to us. Leave a comment, subscribe, and if you feel called, share this episode with someone you care about. Or, if you want to work with us one-on-one and go deeper with this work, check the link in the show notes for how to find us.
Until next time, may all of you feel a part of the family.